Hey everyone, Geophysicist Stefan Burns. We are now in a G1 geomagnetic storm as a result of a high-speed stream impact from this coronal hole here, which we've been tracking for a while. We've been expecting this high-speed stream to hit us, and at the front of this sort of solar wind structure, you actually have a high-density region of plasma. That is what's hitting us right now. That has been stronger than expected. The magnetic field of interplanetary space has actually gone up quite a bit. It's about 3 to 4 times stronger than normal right now. And these coronal holes are very, very special because as we've been tracking on the channel for really months and actually longer than that, but really going back to like February, March, April, May, June, up to now July, they really nicely correlate with increases in earthquake activity, specifically high magnitude earthquakes. When these coronal hole high-speed streams hit us, and that happens when this dark spot is in this geoeffective region, you first get that high density hit. There's variations in these things. This one, for example, is negative polarity, meaning it's better connected to Earth than a positive polarity one. You also have, so you have that initial shock, and then you get this high-speed solar wind or high velocity to start flowing by the Earth afterwards. And as a result of its high velocity, the density goes down dramatically, and that seems to pull these earthquakes out of the Earth. And so we had a high-speed stream impact just about a week ago, a little bit more than a week ago. We actually had 3 of them from one coronal hole. It's the biggest coronal hole that we've had on the sun. It's not this one. This one is following it. It was stretching all along here. We've had like 11 rotations of that guy now going back to August, meaning it's been continuously loading the planet for almost a year now at this point. Like it's getting kind of nuts. And that is actually a sign that we could have a really big one soon to come. Because when you get the continuous loading, that's when things really get crazy. But we had 3 successive impacts and increases in the solar wind velocity and drops in the solar wind density from that. And well, we all know what happened. We had a magnitude 6.7 in the Bonda Sea. Then we had a magnitude 7.3 hit Alaska, and then a magnitude 7.4 hit Kamchatka, along with 3 magnitude 6.6 earthquakes on the same day, a magnitude 6. Then there was a 6.2 aftershock in Alaska, same spot, a 6.3 aftershock in Kamchatka. Interesting thing is that 7.4 in Alaska that had those 3 magnitude 6.6 aftershocks, this coronal hole here is number 66, according to NOAA and the Space Weather Prediction Center forecasting group there. So some interesting numerology, and this is all activating the really intense energy convergence that we have coming up on the 24th and 25th. And I guess we could even say tomorrow, the 23rd. So from the 23rd really through the 26th, we have a very powerful energy convergence across multiple domains. So we have this coronal hole high-speed stream impact. And again, right now we're in a G1 storm. We'll look at that data. We'll look at the real-time solar wind data, a whole bunch of stuff. Also, we'll talk about the fact that the Boom Shakalaka t-shirts are now available, but I'll save that for a little bit later. Link is in the video description. But we also have a new moon. So the moon and sun are conjunct, increased tidal forces from that due to the increased gravitational field and the vector of that. So we'll experience stronger ocean tides and of course also earth tides. Most people don't think of how the moon affects the solid body of the Earth, but you actually get displacement of the Earth itself from the moon, and that's strongest during new moons and full moons. And so we have the new moon, and this is opposite Pluto. So at the exact time of the moon swinging in and going conjunct with the sun, so it's sun, moon, Earth, we have Pluto on the other side of our planet. So this is a very, very powerful energy. It could be one explanation why this coronal hole high-speed stream impact has been stronger than expected thus far. They did forecast G1 conditions, but the actual high-density region of the solar wind came in pretty strong. We'll look at that data. So that's a very powerful energy signature. We also have a bunch of other planetary resonances active. This new moon is exactly in geometric relationship with all the outer planets effectively. So that's very, very powerful. And so that's looking like it's going to trigger something. We don't know exactly what. There's multiple domains that this can unfold across. It could be geologic in nature. There could be a high magnitude earthquake, like really big, like magnitude 8 or greater. That's certainly on the table. It's in the cards. Is it going to happen? We don't know. But there's a higher probability chance of there being something like a magnitude 8 or even a magnitude 8.5 plus megaquake. That's 100% on the table for this upcoming, I would say, next 4 days or so. A much higher probability than normal, I would say, because of the tidal forces of the moon, the fact that we have these planetary resonances. This coronal hole high-speed stream will be in that low density part of the solar wind at that moment in time. You see it's nice and transequatorial, meaning, you know, it's a direct hit to the Earth. It's not going to last that long. We see that's fairly thin right there, but the timing is basically perfect. And I just finished up a conversation with David and Bella with Quantum Planet World. We're going to release that podcast tomorrow because we have a change in the solar calendar for the Mayans on the 25th. So we have the new year, the new solar year start for the Mayan calendar on the 26th of July. The date out of time is the 25th. And this is wrapping up what's known as a storm year. So everyone that's been awake, even partially with one eye open, twitching, has noticed that the past 12 months have been crazy and chaotic and just in general turbulent. The next year we have coming up is a seed year. So that's the year to really start new endeavors, plant things, see them grow. And that's all lining up exactly with this new moon, which also has that same archetypal signification. So a lot to go over in today's video. Hello and welcome everyone to the live stream. I'm your host, Stefan Burns, geophysicist, space weatherman, just a curious person on this planet, trying to understand what's happening, being prepared, having fun while we're doing it. Life is meant to be lived. I bring all these different things together: geology, geophysics, space weather, solar activity, astronomy, astrology, and more. So if you like the sound of that, then please subscribe. We often do question and answers during these live streams. We often do like sound healing meditations on these live streams. I think today we're just sticking with the report, but if I get a tremendous amount of demand from you guys in the comments that I see, we can do perhaps a cosmic connection meditation. That could be nice. Or Q&A, you guys decide. So let us go right into our magnetic field data to see these magnetic fluctuations that are unfolding at this moment in time, because they're significant. We've been in quiet geomagnetic conditions for some time now. There's been little bumps up, but nothing basically at G1. And so this is the first dose and the first hit of geomagnetic activity that we've had. Now we've been having these earthquakes pop off. So that's a different energy signature on the planet that a lot of people do feel and are resonant with. And so that can affect you. But a geomagnetic storm is global in nature, but it is strongest in the polar regions, as we can see here. So here we see our scale bar. This is in nanotesla, and Earth's magnetic field, for reference, goes from about 23,000 to 67,000 nanotesla. And the scale bar, you'll notice, goes up to 400, though certainly some of these swings are going beyond 400 nanotesla, because a geomagnetic storm can cause these 500, 1,000, 1,500 nanotesla swings across certain parts of the globe, even beyond that, but usually caps out probably around 2,500 for a huge, huge, huge geomagnetic storm. This is a G1 storm right now. Could strengthen, but right now we're in G1 conditions. And so we see that things have actually, there's been pulses of activity, and this is a 3-hour time spot. So here we have our time in UTC, and we'll notice that it just strengthened again. But this is already showing the storm in effect. We've been in this now for about 7 hours, maybe a little bit more. We see how that maybe died down a little bit, and then it came back. So there have been pulses of activity, and you may have just felt a sudden shift in energy. I know that when that storm hit, all of a sudden, I definitely need to make sure I rest enough because I've been working a ton. I also just been traveling around a lot and everything. And so I knew that I needed rest, and that storm impact came in. All of a sudden I started yawning. It's like time to take a nap. Thankfully I have the ability to do that. Laid down, woke up feeling refreshed. But this is kind of symbolic of just everything in general, is that any stress points are more likely to break under these sort of conditions. So that's why I laid down to take a nap and to rest, because I don't want to be stressed and then reach some sort of breaking point that's not good for me. And it's the same with the earth, it's the same with everyone, same with society, things of this nature. So now is a really important time to make sure that you're doing everything you can to de-stress, to ground, to just center yourself, calm yourself down. There's a whole bunch of products on earthevolution.com/store, herbal tea products to help you with this. Herbal teas are one of the best things that you can bring into your body to help just improve your health and wellness. It's like a wild card that no one really, like no other life or things can do. We can take these plants and brew them, steep them, extract them, get tons of nutrients out of them, polyphenols, phytochemicals, and more. It's really like, in the grand scheme of health and wellness, like the things you can do, exercise and sunlight and fresh air and this is one of the things that only we can do, really. This is like the herbal teas. So side point there, but that's all available at www.earthevolution.com/store. So if you have those products, now's a good time to maybe brew up a cup. But these can come in quick, sudden, and you can definitely feel a change in energy from them. They also can amplify existing weather patterns and cause a little bit of societal chaos, a little bit. So I'm trying to find the right image here. Here is just, I wanted to quickly touch on this because we're approaching soon hurricane season in the Atlantic. These sort of geomagnetic storms, they just create more energy volatility overall. So again, like societal movements, spontaneous social processes, things like that are all amplified by a geomagnetic storm. Solar activity is effectively like, the sun is like the nucleus of the cell, and the different planets are the organelles. And that sun, the nucleus, it determines the entire electric field of the cell. If you know anything about biology and bioelectricity, it's the cellular voltage gradients that determine cell behavior, the expression of DNA. They're super, super, super important, especially as it relates to stem cells. So you can use that understanding to kind of basically copy and paste it onto understanding how the solar system works. And so the sun is like the nucleus influencing the electric field, the magnetic field of the entire zone that all the planets are in. We're all talking to each other. And these connections also then go down into the earth and influence our weather, influence us, our metabolism, blood viscosity, like clumping and the efficiency of red blood cells and the zeta potential of them, and the autonomic nervous system, whether it's in fight or flight or rest and digest. All these things and like a billion more are affected by solar activity. And so one of these things is weather. And when you have a strong solar impact, whether it's high-speed stream or solar storm come in, and there is already, let's say, some tropical storm or cyclone that exists, it's probably going to get amplified due to the ionosphere getting stronger, a whole bunch of geophysical factors basically boosting up. So we're here right now, July 22nd. This is where we're going. This is database from 1944 to 2020. And we see how many storms per day for this 100-year time slot, or for 100 years there. So quite a lot. So expect a lot of tropical storm and hurricane activity this year in the Atlantic, and it's going to ramp up and go all the way into November. This is just now getting started. That is going to be creating a lot of electromagnetic energy in our nearby environment, right? Every single tropical storm, all the lightning strikes, all the electrification of that, creating these massive electromagnetic potentials that roam around our environment. So everyone on the East Coast of the US, the Caribbean, they're all going to be hit with extra electromagnetic radiation over the next 3-4 months. So keep that in mind. But expect a big hurricane season because of solar maximum. We had solar maximum last year, we have solar maximum this year, and we're going to start to fade out of solar maximum next year. But everything right now is supercharged, and we have this all leading up to this new moon on the 24th, 25th. So some very powerful energies right now at this moment in time. Let's check out our real-time solar wind. And we have that data right here. We can see this high-speed stream that came in. So Right now, it looks like the geomagnetic storming has cooled off a little bit because our solar wind parameters have just slightly died down, but we did receive a really big pulse. But this is where we were. This is like the 20th here. So this is the past few days. Everything quieted down. Notice that our solar wind density was very, very low. This is when those earthquakes are popping off, okay? Because Kamchatka earthquake was the 20th, and then some of these aftershocks on the 21st. So in this extremely low density part of the solar wind is when we had a lot of earthquakes. We'll zoom out the solar wind in just a bit. But we see this now ramp up. Look at our volatility of the field. Went down to 0.33. So yeah, we're not in a G4 storm. The scale rating goes to 5, 1 to 5. We're only at a 1 right now. We're not at a 4 or a 5. But there's been a huge change. The delta is quite significant because sometimes you'll already be at like a 4 or 5 and then you go to like a 7, right? This delta is similar in some aspects, going from basically 0 here up to 5 pretty quickly in just a bit more than 24 hours. So we did have a G1 storm right there. We had a G1 minus storm right here. This is all universal time. We see our solar wind density finally got out of this super low period right here where it was anomalously low and went up to over 10 particles per cubic centimeter. Now it's hovering around 5, and our solar wind velocity is slowly going back up, whereas it went all the way down to 350, even lower, 330, very, very low. That's starting to go up, but we still haven't even been hit with the high-speed stream section. This is the high-density section, as we can see here. We see this sector boundary crossing. So this is a negative polarity high-speed stream, meaning it creates a negative polarity magnetic field. So this is pointing towards us. So it's connecting Earth really well. So we see when that connected, how it ramped up. And our solar wind strength went all the way up to, let's check this out. It's like 23 or even 25, 23 nanotesla, 24 nanotesla at the high. The normal field strength is just 5, so nearly quintupling. And then we see that we did have this pulse down there, -13 for the BZ component. So that's very strong. And that's what immediately bumped us up to these G1 conditions. And so if we get another pulse like that, and there's some other periods there where it's southward, but if we get another pulse like that, we will be right back to G1 conditions, if not above, because it takes some time to build this geomagnetic volatility. So now that we're in it, we could all of a sudden, with that high speed impact soon to come in, solar wind density drop, but the velocity go up, that could push us to G2 temporarily for a bit. There is maybe a coronal mass ejection from a plasma filament launch that will sweep by us within the next 24, 36 hours. I could not find, I couldn't find that plasma filament launch on the sun. Maybe it was super obscure. At least I looked at the 304 angstrom view like 5 times. I didn't see anything launch, but NASA did model a coronal mass ejection from this plasma filament, and it's just set to just barely sweep by the planet. They have that impact modeled for tomorrow. I'm not putting much faith on that, but that is something worth noting for anyone that's watching. And also, if you are living in an area that could get aurora, tonight you may want to try to do some aurora photography for you in the United States, because right now it's nighttime, even here in California. And if you're up in like the upper United States, if you're up in Maine or like, North Dakota, let's say, or even Washington, places like this, I think you're likely to see some aurora. If you're in Alaska, once it goes dark, you probably will. And you may even see aurora going down to lower latitudes. Like, I'm not saying like Alabama or anything, but more middle latitudes. So I guess an example that could be like Illinois, maybe. Maybe we'll see some aurora show up there, especially good long exposure photography, dark skies. I think you have a good shot of that. So for anyone that is interested in aurora, we can actually check out our real-time aurora, our 30-minute forecast. Let's do that. Let's see what this is showing right now for the auroral ring in the northern hemisphere. Because I know that there are some people out there who really appreciate getting the up-to-date info on being able to capture this stuff yourself, to see this, to see the majesty of the universe, and the aurora is basically plasma flowing through our atmosphere. So it's a recognition that that plasma exists on Earth and basically exists everywhere on Earth. So here we see this increasing slowly but surely, still not super strong, but getting stronger. So tonight is at least a chance. It's the best thing that we got happening right now for aurora. Let's go back though to our real-time solar wind, because I want to show you these 3 other high-speed streams that we've had. And to do that, I'll go to our 30-day view. And this is the 4th one now. So we've actually been continuously getting hit, but this was unique in that we had 1, 2, 3 in rapid succession. And look how the solar wind density went anomalously low for a very long period of time. We're just now getting out of that if you look at this longer view. So yes, the solar wind density's gone up. If that drops back down again to similar zones here, then I think we can expect there to be some more high magnitude earthquakes. This is like 6.5 plus or so, probably even like up to magnitude 7, because that really does seem to draw out the higher magnitude quakes. So this is a 4th impact coming off of these 3, and it's lining up with those increased tidal forces of the moon and also the planetary resonances that are active. Let's pull that up really quick so I can show you what we have coming up on the 24th, 25th. Because that's this is a planetary geometry that's active for some time, but we definitely get a spike in it over the next few days with this new moon. So here we have the planets today, the solar system. The planet sizes are not to scale, but the geometry between them, the angles are. And so we see here the Earth, there's the sun. Let's zoom in. And we notice that Mercury's retrograde. And so we're soon going to have a Mercury cazimi actually at the end of the month. So we'll have an inferior conjunction with Mercury at the end of the month. If I zoom there, see that? There is our Mercury cazimi, and also looks like that's with a quarter moon. And that makes sense because it's at the very end of the month and the new moon is on the 24th, 25th. But if we go to our new moon right about here, and we can zoom around to kind of see our moon placement, okay? So we'll get this nice and lined up right here. And we zoom out, you'll notice that we have Pluto directly behind the Earth at this moment in time. So that is this Pluto opposition, and we just had the sun move into Leo. So happy Leo season. The sun is now in its exaltation or its domicile. It just likes to be there, right? It's in its home base, king of the hill. And now for the next 20 years or so, we are going to have the sun, when it's in Leo, in opposition to Pluto and Aquarius, building greater tension. And we seem to observe that when Pluto is in either Leo or Aquarius, we have strong solar cycles. And that's been the case thus far. So I think maybe the next solar cycle could be a really strong one based off of that, because then Pluto will really be in Aquarius. That'd be solar cycle 26. That's at least a possibility. But we will also notice this alignment here, Saturn, Neptune, and also Uranus and Pluto. Because we're in this configuration to Pluto, it means that we are also in configuration to all these other outer planets, which are configured together, because they are less than 1 degree off from a perfect 60-degree sextile arrangement. And then also Uranus is also within that 1 degree orb. So very powerful planetary resonances active at this moment in time with this new moon. And if we zoom forward just a tad on the 9th of August, right after the 8-8 Lions Gate, we will see this powerful planetary configuration I've been talking about click in. And this involves Mars here. So we have Mars opposite Neptune and Saturn, Earth caught in the middle, and then of course also Uranus here and Pluto all in this transformative kite formation. So very powerful stuff. This is one of the underlying factors that's leading to or contributing to this grand energy convergence that we get them every now and then. What I call a grand energy convergence is when you have a whole bunch of things from different domains all culminating basically at the same time. So we had the planetary resonances. We had this geomagnetic storm that is coming in right now, and we're going to be in that high-speed stream during that new moon. We have the day at a time for the Mayan calendar. Make sure to catch the podcast that I'll drop tomorrow to learn more about that. We look at our ionosphere, we'll notice that we don't see too many notable changes yet to our ionosphere. Sometimes during a solar storm or solar wind impact, we'll notice that this will charge up really quickly and it'll start to become more volatile. But as you'll notice, basically this is looking normal. And that makes sense because this is only a G1 storm right now, and it's, it takes time for these things to kind of roll in. But we don't see anything anomalous with our ionosphere, so just wanted to point that out. And if we look at our electron flux, we see that the ionosphere is starting to get charged up though, because here we have our 7 days. We've had really, really, really charged up radiation belts. These are the zones of high energy flux that surround our planet, going out about 1 to 10 Earth radii. And these values here we do see every now and then, but not that often. This is quite elevated. The moment you start to get over 10 to the 4, you're really in a high radiation environment. You would not want to send a spaceship through the radiation belts basically at this moment in time. Now you'd be fine because we just had this precipitation event. Notice how this solar wind stream has caused all of a sudden the radiation belts to drop in their flux. This is a log scale, so that's quite significant. We've gone down from this peak here, let's say it's 2 to the 10 to the 4. Now the red line here is at 70. So a big, like orders of magnitude drop there. That's all been hitting the ionosphere, charging it up. And we do have sunspots on the sun right now. And that also charges up the ionosphere. Even if they're not flaring that actively, we get that. We can see that with our Earth Analytics portal. So we see our current sunspots right here. And I can open this up in a new tab actually. Here we have our sunspots. And so we just had a big crop of sunspots rotate out. We have more sunspots rotating in. They're on the far side right now. This is the biggest one that we have. It doesn't seem to be the biggest flare player. We have had some like C-class activity, but nothing really write home about. I don't see this like evolving into anything spectacular. But perhaps something new shows up soon. It's possible with the sun now in its domicile. I would expect some sort of show, especially if we poke some fun at the sun too and ask, oh, it's not going to do anything. It may just decide to wake up. But this, just in general, these sort of sunspots create, they just pump out more X-rays, extreme ultraviolet light that charges up the ionosphere. A very important component of the global electric circuit, one of the most important components next to atmospheric conductivity, and the ionosphere and the crust of the Earth are connected together. They're like capacitor plates. So you have high charge, and then resistivity or resistance in between. And so when you get a lot of charge buildup there, it generates charge buildup and powerful electric currents down below. They get induced. And that definitely seems to be connected to earthquakes, and specifically earthquake ruptures and high magnitude earthquakes. It's all plasma, basically, at the end of the day. That's what it seems. So the fact that the ionosphere is well charged right now, it's not like critically charged, but we are having this ion precipitation come in right now. It's going to get more charged up over the next couple of days, and then we get that new moon, everything else I've described. So basically, all the pieces are in place for something crazy to happen. Not saying it's going to, but if there was to ever be some like Godzilla event like I described near Japan, which is what that manga prophecy is for. She's been right before on the big ones. There was to be some sort of like Godzilla event or super high magnitude earthquake or just something like that, massive volcanic explosion. We have everything needed to effectively make that happen. There's probably some other things that we could slot in, but we have all the conditions are there. Everything's ready. question now is, will it happen or not? So that is, the next few days are very, very critical. And if we look at our latest earthquakes, we can see where the stress has been. So, or rather stress release has been and where the stress is. So we see here our magnitude 7.3 in Alaska. And I talked about this in yesterday's video, how there's been this drift to the east with the earthquakes, and specifically this aftershock really nicely shows that there. There's the 6.2, that's the 7.3 right here. So look how it's been moving perfectly to the east with this earthquake swarm. And then that first earthquake was on the 16th of July. Then we had this 7.4 rupture here. And let me switch this to universal time. Here we go. Then we had this 7.4 here. This is the biggest earthquake we've had in some time. A lot of aftershocks, as you can see, 6.6, 6.6, more. And then our most recent aftershock here is this 6.1. And you'll notice how there's been this movement to the south-southwest with this one. So the two earthquakes are basically moving, like swarms are moving apart from each other, which is really interesting. And then we also do see some activity here in the Aleutian Islands kind of distributed throughout this time range there. It's basically smack dab in the center. So some very interesting earthquake dynamics happening near the Arctic Circle. And this energy has spread out this way and spread out this way. Of course, it also radiates out in all directions, but it will preferentially travel along a fault. Same with Russia here. And we also had this 6.7 in the Banda Sea just slightly before this 1 week time frame. So that one sent its energy up like this. And then we had Alaska send its energy going both directions here like that. It's hard to do with the green screen. Both directions like this. Then this one added on. So the place that's received the most energy from this has been Japan. Okay, some people are looking at California. California is certainly locked up, but I'm not really actually too concerned about California. If it happens, it happens. Cascadia certainly is also locked up. If it happens, it happens. But in terms of where the energy has gone the most from these, it's definitely been Japan. It's been basically at the epicenter of the strongest earthquakes over the past 10 days. So, and it's been having this ongoing earthquake swarm just south of the mainland, you could say. And there's also these Godzilla zones that exist in Japan. And we know that there are some very large volcanoes hitting here. For example, Kikai volcano there was one of the largest volcanic eruptions in the past 10,000 years, a VEI-7, pyroclastic flows going all the way past Tokyo, basically. So that was 7,300 years ago. We have Godzillas lurking in the deep in and around Japan, and the Ryukyu Trench is definitely looking like a potential disaster zone. Now, when? That's a good question. In geologic time, it will happen. Something certainly is going to happen there and everywhere else on the globe in geologic time. But is it going to happen tomorrow or in 4 days, like 2 days, whatever? We don't know. Some weird stuff happening in Yellowstone as well. Seismograph readings are kind of going wonky. There are some reports of animals leaving Yellowstone, but my research and looking into his videos has shown some of them to be repurposed from like years ago when there was like a wildfire. One of them looked like artificial intelligence. Like it just looked fake. So I don't know exactly what to think about Yellowstone, but we have been seeing some weird readings from Yellowstone. I mention it because, like, you know, it's not just Japan. There's a lot of places on the planet, supervolcanoes and faults are locked and loaded and things of this nature. So it's not just Japan that we should be watching. And it's certainly not the only place I were watching on the channel, but just wanted to point out Yellowstone. It's actually, let's look at the Yellowstone seismic network. I heard that they took it offline. Here's a magnitude 2.7 on their map. This was July 10th. So that's quite some time ago. Yeah, I don't think there's really been too much activity, but people have been reporting, yeah, these are like magnitude, oh sorry, These are all like magnitude 1.8, 0.9, 1.6, 1.3. These are all like low magnitude earthquakes, nothing really to be concerned about at all. But what people have been saying is that the seismograph stations have been kind of going nuts. Let's pull up one of these stations here and let's look at our live seismogram. Just see what the heck is happening. See if everything's normal. And yeah, everything looks normal here. I mean, just in the past, this is for the 23rd universal time. We do see, going into the 23rd, this is 22nd, we do see, a bit of increased shaking here, but you get these sort of rhythms and activity anywhere you go. So let's maybe check out a different one. There's one specifically that someone mentioned, but you're always, if you have 50 different seismographs, some of them are going to break down at times and need to be recalibrated. For example, this one's not showing any data, right? So you have to kind of understand what you're looking at in the first place when you're looking at this stuff. Let's check out this one here, Yellowstone YDD, and I think basically everything is normal at Yellowstone right now, and that people are making a story because they want to make a story. But I'll keep looking into it because that's kind of my job and my duty to all of you. So everything seems to be normal and fine at Yellowstone. I wouldn't be worried personally. But there are these places across the globe that have the potential to have very powerful events unfold. And right now, again, all the conditions are basically set and ready for that. Now, before signing off, unless all of you really want a cosmic connection meditation or something, I want to share with you the fact that the Boom Shakalaka t-shirts are finally available. I've been figuring out how to get them available to you guys because my new website still is being worked on. It's difficult for some things without going into that. I'm wearing it right now, as you can see, so you can get your Boom Shakalaka on and show your support. And this also says Earth Evolution on it, which is something that is always unfolding on this planet. But if you want to show your support for the channel, what we do, and perhaps bump into someone else wearing a Boom Shakalaka shirt, then go to wildfreeorganic.com/store. You can see the URL up here. And if you just click the store page from the website, the earthing shoes are also available here from Wild Free Organic. This is where I have the earthing shoes until I am able to fix up the other website and get them listed there. But this is also where I'm able to list the Boom Shakalaka t-shirts. So they are available. There's only about 100 in stock right now across different sizes, and there are different colors. We also see yellow here. So there is one thing I want to note. They are on sale. I'm going to normally sell them for like $33. They're on sale right now for $22. And the reason why is because there is, whether you call it a mistake or not is up to you, but there is a printing thing which shows up really nicely on the yellow. So we have our logo here, and what happened is this logo had a remnant swoosh as part of it, and when I went to design the t-shirts, it did not show up in the designer, so I didn't think that that was a concern, or like I didn't even know. But when we actually got the t-shirts, we noticed that there was this remnant swoop. So this was printed on by mistake. And so like for the yellow, if I'm being honest, and I'm always honest with you guys, I'm not the biggest fan of that in terms of like the grand scheme of things. I'd rather it just be the Boom Shakalaka logo. But these are the first run. So this is in fact a unique identifier, and these are honestly probably going to be collectible because with the way the channel is growing and the fact that I'm not all that old, right? I think that we're going to see some amazing things happen in the future. So there's about 100 of these. I put them on sale because of this swoosh, but at the same time, this is a collectible item with a unique identifier because of that. So that is maybe you want that. I don't know. You barely notice it on the watermelon shirts. So on the watermelon shirts, you don't even really see it. But in full transparency, I did want to share that with you. So pluses and minuses, maybe it doesn't bother you at all. I guess I'm just a little bit of a perfectionist, but it is now, as a result, a unique first edition collectible item. So that's available on the website at wildfreeorganic.com/store. They're probably going to sell out pretty quick. At least these first run unique collectibles are going to run out very fast. So they will be back in stock once these sell out without that unique identifier. So if you simply don't want that, just maybe like wait a week or two, if that, probably just honestly a couple of days. But if you want that unique identifier for that collectible reason, then I would go ahead and purchase them from the site ASAP, because there's enough of you, 360,000 plus people now, that these could go really, really quick. So I wanted to share that with you. And yeah, it is late here. I still need to eat dinner. So I'm going to sign off for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and wishing you well with this geomagnetic storm, which we are still in the process of right now, this high-speed stream. So I'll keep you up to date. If we don't be surprised if you get more high magnitude earthquakes, especially in that 6.5 to 7 zone. And honestly, don't be surprised if you get something, finally we get that magnitude 8. I wouldn't be surprised. Northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, where exactly? That's a good question. But it's definitely possible, especially with that new moon coming up, very, very powerful. And if it's not going to express itself as an earthquake, then this energy is going to express itself in some other way. There's the sun's fury, you could say. I'm not sure the sun's mad, but just the strength and power of the sun is like influencing the earth tremendously at this moment in time, and that needs to go somewhere. So whether it's societally or geologically, or even like spiritually, we'll just have to wait and see. I'll cover all those and more on the channel. So smash that like button, help the channel grow. Really appreciate all your support. For all the new people that are here, welcome. So happy to see you joining in on the channel. We're a very open community here. And yeah, just a great place to be. So hope to see you around more, and please take care of yourselves. Wishing all of you well, and I'll see you all in the next video.